Hi, I'm Renata Duma, and on behalf of CA for IT, I'd like to welcome you to our seminar on PSC risk, or Personal Service Corporation risk. Our seminar objective is to provide independent contractors, recruiters, staffing agencies, management, and corporate leaders with a solid understanding of the current situation pertaining to the Canada Revenue Agency's position on PSC risk, a very real risk that personally incorporated individuals currently face in Canada. Joining me in this discussion are George Wall, President and CEO of CA for IT, or Chartered Accountants for IT Specialists, Jonah Laced, Co-founder and Chief Financial Officer of Eagle Professional Resources, Dave Hayward, who has more than 22 years experience in the information technology staffing industry and is on the board of directors of the NACCB. I'm also here with Terry Power, former president of Sapphire Technologies Canada and current president of the NACCB, or National Association of Computer Consulting Businesses. On behalf of CA for IT, we hope you derive a significant benefit from today's panel discussion so you can learn just how you can protect yourself against personal service corporation risk. Thanks for watching. In a downturn, people think that companies lay off permanent staff and contract out. Is this true?
Actually, not at all. Layoffs happen for a variety of reasons, but one of the reasons why organizations have flexible staffing strategies is that when they do hit difficult times, it allows them to scale down. Just like as David said earlier, in specific project situations, it also allows them to scale up. So flexible staffing actually gives you that ability to scale either way, and in downturns, it is often the temporary staff that do get let go first. So again, I think that's a myth that's out there that temporary workers keep their jobs over permanent workers. It's not the case at all.
Okay, so when an economy recovers after a layoff period, does contracting get a boost?
Well, I think contracting gets a boost in proportion to the general growth in the economy. As we were talking about earlier, I think you got to look at contracting as an integral part of the business today. So it isn't a separate part, it's integral. So as the business recovers, as new projects come on board, a certain percentage of the people they bring on are going to be contractors, just like they are in a lot of the time. There'll also be permanent hires made, obviously, but I think that our business resuscitates itself at the same speed that business does in general.
And it's not unusual as well for sure, I would agree. It's not unusual for a company typical when you're coming out of recovery, times are a bit tentative. You're not really sure. Projections tend to be fairly conservative.
Right.
So it's not unusual at all, actually, for an organization to hire people on a temporary basis initially until, full-time headcount frees up. But, I agree with David's point. I mean, they'll typically, go hand in hand.
There was recently, Frank McRae, I'm sure you all know that name, from Procom, recently blogged about the unique expectations of Generation Y about boomers retiring and the continued growth of the IT sector through immigration and resulting ESL issues and the desire of independent contractors to find a balance between work and private lives. Maybe that's why a lot of the women aren't coming on board, because we tend to have other responsibilities in the family, right?
But I think that's one of the reasons, as we alluded to earlier, why independent contracting is attractive to people. It gives them that balance. It gives them the ability to kind of plan out what they want to do. They can work on an assignment, take some time off. You can get a better work-life balance working as an independent contractor. And again, I think that is reflective of the age we live in, and so we just have to make sure that the rules that are governing that are applied appropriately, given the reality that's there.
And I think that Frank was right in that blog. I mean, I recently saw an individual resign from a contract, and they had about a year left on it, and it was a really great contract, and their whole premise was, well, I need some time to myself. I want to spend some time with my mom, who's older and ill, and it was a whole work-life balance thing. And the end statement was, as a contractor, I generally only work about 6 months a year. And I was thinking to myself about this session, and I thought, well, that's great. That really fits in exactly to what Revenue Canada looks at. Chance of profit, risk of loss, setting your own hours. That individual is really running their business like a business and making their own rules. They're not kind of caught into an employee mentality thinking, I need to ask for my 2 weeks vacation off, they walked away from a lucrative contract.
And I think it's important to understand that this is not just an IT issue, nor is it actually uniquely a Gen Y issue. I think we live in a world where people's expectation of work and their own definition of work is changing. And, you know, finance, the Ministry of Finance and the CRA has to understand that and not use 40-year-old rules to govern this process. You know, even if you go to the other extreme and look at boomers, you know, a lot of boomers have had their savings hit hard, you know, over the last 18 months. Does that mean that they're going to work longer? Yeah, maybe, but I don't think it means that they're going to want a full-time job for another 20 years. It probably means, to Jonah's point, you know what, I'll take 6 months worth of contract. This is a choice that people personally want to make, and I think it's incumbent upon our government to understand that we're living in different times.
Right.
Within IT, outside of IT, Gen X, boomers, it doesn't matter. It's work today is different than it was 40 years ago, and the rules need to reflect that.
Daniel Pink, I'm not sure if you're aware of that author. He wrote a book called A Whole New Mind recently. So what I'm hearing is that you're probably agreeing with him that we're moving from an information age to a more conceptual age, and you're encouraging IT contractors to educate themselves and to develop their communication skills and language skills. So is the NACCB doing something about this, or is that their direction at all?
Well, again, you have to appreciate the nature of our organization. You know, we use the term bootstrap, and that's a very kind of a definition. You know, it's an organization of 70-ish members, and you know, the operating budget allows us to do, you know, a minimal number of things. It is our desire to educate as much as we can, and we're fortunate we have associate member like George's company and who can provide advice to our constituents. So it's difficult for us to provide structured training for them. I think individual agencies do some things that you know, an independent contractor may want to look at, and again, you know, some agencies do a better job of providing services than others, but you can't expect your agency to do that for you. You know, you can't expect them to provide training for you because you're not their employee. You're an independent business. So it's a difficult thing as an association for us to do.
Right.
I think individuals, again, think like a business. Right. And, you know, as a business, you can't expect your association to help your business be profitable.
Exactly.
Right? You expect your association to sort of fight for some common causes. So you incorporate, you become a business, you have to act like a business.
What's your general prognosis on this so-called dangerous situation we find ourselves in?
It's a concern for us, for sure, because as George said, there's precedent issues. Now listen, the CRA has a job to do, and in every sector of the economy, employees, businesses, independent businesses, doesn't matter what, in every sector of the economy, people break the rules, and that's the CRA's job. And we applaud them for that, and we want to support them. Our association is fully behind anything we can do to help, you know, the CRA do its job. The challenge, though, again, becomes, you know, when you target a specific sector of an industry, like it's apparently happening here, and it's a very important part, as I said earlier, 5-ish% of the IT worker population in a time when, as a country, we're concerned about our long-term IT talent. It's a very important sector. So what's the prognosis? I think there are 25 to 30,000 independent contractors in Canada. They have a big impact on our economy. They serve government. They serve, you know, schools. They serve companies. There's a lot of value that's brought from this group, and they're going to continue to be important. We just have to find a way to ensure that the sector operates, you know, the way it should. And again, we're there to, you know, to work with them and help in any way we can.